It's time for the One Bar and Lepica Show, bringing you anything and everything Minnesota Vikings.
Welcome to professional football.
All right, welcome to today's episode. Today we are talking about one of the best things about the NFL draft. We're talking about potential steals. We're talking about potential sleepers that come in those mid to late rounds that end up contributing and proving teams that they should have been taken a lot earlier than they did. As Vikings fans, we've seen this firsthand. Look at Stephon Diggs, round 5. Look at Weatherly, Odenabo, even Daniil Hunter, third-round guy. I mean, full-blown steals. And the Vikings are pretty damn good at picking those guys in those mid to late rounds, and they're always wheeling and dealing to try to get these guys. And I expect this year to be no different. 12 picks on the board. Once they get past round 4 or whatever, they're going to be moving and shaking and looking for this year's steal. And today we're going to go over 5 potential guys that the Vikings could have on their radar as that mid-round guy, as that mid-round steal. And we're going to start with a big guy, Alex Taylor, offensive tackle. We know offensive tackle is a big need for the Vikings. This is by no means a guy that's going to come in as a rookie and help the Vikings. So that's off the table. He is raw. What everybody loves about Taylor is his athletic ability. He's huge. He's 6'9", 310 pounds. Former college basketball player. He is smooth mover out there. His issue is his technique. His issue is that he's extremely raw, and he needs to add some power. So Alex Taylor from South Carolina State, he's a guy that could be brought in and maybe looked at in a year or two to contribute. His ceiling is so damn high. Teams are going to get very excited about his size, very excited when they see the way he moves out there. But totally worth a mid-round gamble. He's all over the place. He could be anywhere from round 3 all the way to round 6. I mean, he's nobody can really peg him where he's going to go. And if the Vikings were to use a 5th-round pick on this guy, adding him in the mix with Udo, who's another raw guy they took last year in hopes of him transforming into a potential starter. We got Riley Reef, we got Brian O'Neill right now. We got Rashad Hill behind him, but behind those guys, there's not a ton. So have a guy like Taylor just on the bench, his depth, and with his size, they can add some power. I think give a year or two, he could actually push to be a starter. So Taylor is going to be a guy to watch. Another guy, Shaheem Carter from Alabama, cornerback, safety. Can play all over the place. His people seem to think that his spot is going to be nickel when it comes to the NFL, but he could play safety in a pinch. Alabama defenders, you can't go wrong with them. They're always ready to go. You can't rattle these guys, and Carter is one of those two. Very confident guy, very smart, great instincts. Started 23 games for Alabama. If you're starting for Alabama secondary, you're pretty damn good. Worst case scenario for this guy is he is just a demon of a special teamer. He can lay a hit. He's all over the field. When I think of Carter, I think of Jaron Kearse. Not so much the style of play or his size, but just his role. You would watch Kearse come in. He would play corner. He would play safety. He plays special teams. You kind of put him all through where you need him and when you need him. And Carter could help fill that void with Kearse Gonzo. Again, I don't think Carter, we're not talking starter material day one, but depth, solid depth, which we need at both positions. Carter's going to be a hot commodity, I think, anytime after round 3, round 4. Again, he's a guy, when you get into these rounds, you need guys like this, they could go anywhere. But Carter, if we got him anywhere round 4 or after, he would be a hell of a piece to throw in that secondary. And just a spoiler alert, we're going to be doing an interview with Carter on Saturday, so we'll be able to pick his brain a little bit more and post it on here. But Shaheem Carter, boom. All right, let's go to offense. Anthony Gordon, quarterback, Washington State. Vikings fans seem to have a little bit of a man crush on this guy. He was a 1-year starter who just absolutely lit it up, completing 71% of his passes, threw for 5,500 yards, 48 touchdowns. His only year as a starter, so he's kind of a bit of a mystery. What you can get excited about Gordon is his confidence. Guy doesn't get rattled. Doesn't seem like he even cares if he screws up. And he was at Washington State. They throw the ball 99% of the time. So these numbers, even though they're huge, are kind of expected. He's a gunslinger, great leader. But the fact is he's raw. He hasn't played much at all. 1-year starter. He's not going to come in. Anybody who takes him, he's going to be looked at as a 3rd-string practice squad guy. I see him as 6th round and back. In this year's class, quarterback is a little bit top heavy, but after that second round, there's really not a ton of talent there. So he could go sooner than expected just because there's not much out there. But Anthony Gordon, I think he could make his way up to be a solid backup in the league and maybe come in a pinch as a starter. But we know right now we got Kirk Cousins, we got Sean Mannion, and we got Jake Browning. So with this amount of picks, I'll be very surprised if we don't take a quarterback. If they take one earlier, obviously Gordon's off the table. But if he's sitting there around 6, round 7 especially, Anthony Gordon would be a fun little project to watch. And something tells me he would be a preseason champion like we've seen in the past, Kyle Sloter. All right, next guy. Let's go to a guy that everybody knows and everybody get very excited about if he's a Viking. It's Tyler Johnson, wide receiver, Gophers. We've all had a front row seat to him. Very well-rounded receiver, above average route runner, great ball skills. Makes the tough catches when he's against the corners. And the best thing about Johnson is he gets better every year. We watched him just get better and better and better. While he won't light up corners with his speed, I think his technique, I think his power, I think his route running is definitely going to get him to be on an NFL roster and make some plays as a rookie. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons for the Gophers. It's actually kind of a mystery why his stock isn't higher. Maybe it's because the wide receiver group this year is so thick, it's pushing him down. But, I mean, to not even get an invite to the Senior Bowl, he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. And even if he was taken in the 3rd round, I think it's going to pay dividends. I think he is going to come off angry. I think he thinks he is a 2nd-round pick, and maybe we'll see what that has to offer. But I think he's going to be a very good possession receiver in the NFL. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to get you first downs. He's going to be a guy that catches the ball, makes plays after the catch. He's going to be able to push those little corners down and take her to the house. And Tyler Johnson, if he were taken around earlier than he probably should have, and he was a Viking, I would not complain just because of my heart. So Tyler Johnson, again, like everybody have said, he's all over the board, and you can't predict where he's going to go. But when all is said and done, I think he's going to be about a 4th-round guy. Final, Raekwon Williams, Michigan State defensive tackle, 6'4", 287 run stuffer, 2-time Big Ten player all Big Ten defender. His bread and butter, he stuffs the run. There's not much sexy about him. He is a run stuffer. He needs to beef up. He needs to get stronger. He was kind of the heart and soul of that defensive line for Michigan State. Fun guy to watch. But like I said, he needs to beef up. His issues are if he's on a double team, he's kind of shut down. At 6'4", 287, to be a run stuffer, you need to beef up. Even though he is a run stuffer, he can get to the quarterback. He's got 11.5 career sacks. I think he is a guy that is strictly depth, a guy that could play behind Pierce, a guy that could kind of battle for Jaleel Johnson, Jalen Holmes, with those guys for a roster spot. But Williams will be a later round guy that has to beef up. But again, he might be a practice squad guy that works his way up. And we have seen what we can do with defensive linemen. So Williams from Michigan State, again, I've seen him linked to the Vikings a few times, and that would be a nice little late round guy. So that's the steals for today. This ain't gonna be the last time we talk about steals. We'll talk more on the offensive line for that in the next episode, but stay tuned. Like I said, Carter from Alabama, we're going to interview him on Saturday, so keep an eye out for that. And subscribe. Boom.